start with the presentations. And the first presentation that we'll take will be Council District 4 with Mr. Labange. So Mr. Labange, if you're ready. Mr. Labange, if you're ready, we can get... Are you ready?
Still working.
Okay.
So I'm not ready.
Okay, that's fine. Why don't we go to Council District 10 for the art winners and Adopt a Pet. And then Mr. Labange, you'll be after that if they're here.
Councilmember? It is a great pleasure, Kurt. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, Madam President and members, and to all of you that are watching today's council session on Channel 35. I have a double treat for you today. Today is Friday, always my favorite day, but it's even more of a favorite day when it is Pet Adoption Friday. And I present to you the cutest little thing with a lot of energy. Her name is Lacey. Lacey's 4 months old, and she's a mixed Bernese mountain dog. Let us put it up so people can see how tall she is. She'll probably get to be around 40 pounds, come up to your knee. Again, she's very loving. She likes to kiss, I'm finding out, and she plays with toys. She's really, in fact, they told me when they brought her here from the shelter today that she carried her little yellow ball with her the whole time. She's looking for a home. She does well with people and children. Anybody that is looking for unconditional love, I guarantee that Lacey will give it to you. Those interested, please call 888-452-7381. We at the City of Los Angeles have a 100% adoption rate. We do not want to miss a beat. So anyone that's watching this on television, any council staff or city staff that's listening on council phone, come down, check Lacey out. Does she have her shot? She's ready to go? She's got her shot. She's also been microchipped, so she is ready to go. And if you get down here and it's too late and Lacey has already been adopted, don't fret. We have shelters throughout the city of Los Angeles with thousands of companion animals, dogs, cats, birds, you name them, we have it. So again, whoever wants to adopt a little daughter, please call 888-452-7381, or if you're within the building, come down to the back of Chambers. Her ID number is A102-9165. Everybody, let's give Lacey a round of applause because I hope she finds a home today. And Madam President, I would hope that you would be hopeful that Lacey would find a home today. If not, I'm just going to park her on Mr. Parks' chair so that he will be forced to take Lacey home and have his dear wife, Bobby, take care of her. So please, Los Angeles, save the Parkses. So come and adopt Lacey. She's a great dog. Thank you so much.
And thank you very much, Lacey, for your next presentation.
Better save them, Miss Perry. Anyway, I'd like for the art contest award winners to come forward. Susan, let's go. The Korean daily newspaper for the past 28 years has had an annual art contest. Every year, this year no different, they have over 1,000 people that entered. The Korean Daily is one of the largest Korean daily newspapers in the district, as Mr. Labange and Mr. Reyes could subscribe to. Today, this year they created 2 new categories of winners, the Los Angeles City Awards and the Judge Awards. So they have 4 for the City Awards, 4 for the Judge Awards. We're fortunate enough today to have 6 of these award winners with us. The entries came in from kids as young as kindergarten all the way through high school. So before I bring them individually and give them their certificates of appreciation, why don't we give these fine students of tomorrow a round of applause. Okay, Dina Lee. Oh, look, she's a cutie. Wait, we want Dina to get off. Where can we put Dina? Come up with Mom. Here, Dina. Dina Lee, here. And that's Dina's artwork. Maybe we could hold it up a little. Dina, could you give it to me? Can we get a close-up, Mr. DeMille, so everybody can see Dina's? And what grade are you, Dina?
She's a preschool.
Preschool. All right, let's give Dina a round of applause. Next, we have William Kim. And wait, your artwork was entitled The Bathroom?
Exactly.
Exactly, he says. I want to see what well, that's a bathroom, William.
Thank you.
Let's let Los Angeles see William's depiction. In fact, it looks a little bit like mine. Unoccupied. Anyway, William, congratulations, young man. And you have a congratulatory certificate from the City of Los Angeles signed by the mayor and myself. Congratulations. Is this Mom? Let's look over there. William, stay still. William, you move as much as Lacey. The dog, you should adopt her. Mom, that'd be a good gift. Okay, and now we have Sean Huang. Sean? And he says over here. Hey, Sean, let's move over so people can see you. Now, let's see what... Sean, yours is entitled The Picnic. Let's look at Sean, let me show everybody The Picnic. This is Sean's work, The Picnic. So is this the picnic basket?
Jack in the Box.
Oh, it's Jack in the Box. Okay. All right. He's picnicking with Jack in the Box. All right. Here, Sean. Congratulations. All right. Our next winner is Jay Ha with Mission or Mars Mission. Right, Jay? Okay. Let's show Los Angeles your interpretation of E.T. Congratulations, young man. And Mom, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Mateus Lee. Now this could be my favorite. His work of art is entitled The Kitchen. Let's see what we got in the kitchen. Oh, look at that. And you can tell that this young man is going to be very healthy. He's got fruit. Where's the pot roast, Matthias? Anyway, is this your mother? Congratulations, Papa. Congratulations, and sister. Yeah. All right. All right, our last winner. Oh, entitled Green in the City is Hay Park. Oh, hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. Let's see. Oh, this is beautiful. All of the works of art were beautiful. This is beautiful. It's hard for you to see it on television, but our great commissioner to my right, Barry Sanders, can get a bird's eye view. It is beautiful.
It's wonderful.
Isn't it fabulous?
Yes, it is.
It is fabulous. It is fabulous. Miss Park, and I'm assuming you are not in kindergarten. Okay, anyway, this is for you. Congratulations. Is this Mom, the proud mother? Anyway, now it's a Mr. President. Thank you very much. Let's give them one more round of applause.
Congratulations. Thank you, and congratulations to you all. Our next presentation will be by Councilmember Jan Perry.
Bernard. I think Mr. Labange wants to join me in this presentation. And would all the members of the committee, or... Yes, come on up.
Mr. Labange and Ms. Perry.
Hi.
David Sun, Andy Knox.
Yeah.
Chairman Smith.
Yeah, hi, how are you? Of course. Careful.
No barriers for me.
Okay, no barriers.
Paul Gonzalez is running late, but he's part of our group too.
Okay. It's hard to believe, and I want to say before I get started, I'm pinch hitting for Mr. Parks today, who represents the Coliseum area. He was called to jury duty and asked us to fill in for him. It's hard to believe that a quarter of a century has passed since the 1984 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. Next week, we will mark the occasion with a gala event at the Memorial Coliseum, the site of many great memories from those games. Excuse me. Who can forget decathlon champion Rafer Johnson's heroic stride up the steps to light the Olympic torch? In those games, Carl Lewis would go on to win 4 gold medals in track and field, and a gymnast named Mary Lou Retton burst onto the scene, becoming a household name, winning gold, silver, and bronze medals. Who can forget the record haul of medals won by Americans in swimming, or countless other stories of athletes around the world coming from these historic games? The Los Angeles Games, led by Peter Ueberroth, were the most well-planned, well-executed games in modern history. For 2 weeks, Angelenos benefited from the effects of this, with lighter volumes of traffic and well-run Olympic venues. We all shared in the incredible sense of community, sportsmanship, and camaraderie these games became known for. And I want to commend those responsible for these extremely successful Olympic Games 25 years ago, and commend the Southern California Committee for the Olympic Games. And they are putting together the celebration that we will enjoy, you'll give me the date when we're done. July 18th, thank you. And I'd like to invite Mr. David Simon and Mr. Andrew Knox to the podium. But before I do, Mr. Labange would like to say a few words.
Thank you very much, and I'm so sorry that Bernard Parks could not be here. He has a jury duty, I believe, as you said, Ms. Perry. Members, this is an important milestone in our celebration of our city's history. 25 years ago, the whole focus of the world was shined on Los Angeles. It was an absolutely tremendous time. And if we recall, for those of us who were here, how tough it was to get the Olympic Games, because in 1976 in Montreal, they had challenges that even overwhelmed that event as the cost. But those who selected this opportunity, then late great Mayor Tom Bradley, then John Ferraro, worked extremely hard to get the bid. And the vote in this city council, Mr. City Attorney, the vote in this city council was 8-7. If I have it right, and Marvin Browdy was the deciding vote. It was a very tumultuous time. People were making a heyday out of talk radio, which was then in its infancy as far as being against the Olympic movement. It was a wonderful time that really made a difference and an impact, and out of that came a great legacy. As Jan mentioned, the Southern California Olympic Organizing Committee, the start was formed, the birth, but now the LA 84 Foundation was a legacy that lives on. I was just proud to be part of the city family working for John Ferraro, and I will say I was so lucky to go to 24 events in that 2-week period with Mr. Ferraro as we celebrated Los Angeles and the Olympic movement. This is going to be a special night at 39th and Figueroa at the Memorial Coliseum, and they are going to also honor people who deserve recognition. I just want to thank it. I'm so sorry Mr. Parks could join us today because he loves the Coliseum as much as anybody. But he'll be there on the 18th.
Yeah.
And now I think we should introduce Barry Sanders.
Yeah, why don't you let him introduce everybody?
All right, good. Thank you very much. Commissioner Sanders.
Yeah,
Thank you.
why don't you introduce everybody?
I'd be delighted to introduce my colleagues who are with me. Andy Knox, who along with Dick Cook is the chairman of the event. Andy, who's been working so hard to make this happen on July 18th, along with the work of the president of the Southern California Committee for the Olympic Games, David Simon. Anita DeFrance, of course, great Olympian, and the president of the LA84 Foundation, who are partners in this event on July 18th. I also wanted to take just a few words to thank you, the City Council, for the support you're giving to this event. We turn to you, and many of you nominated those who are among the 40 community champions we're honoring. We all remember, and this event is to remember, the wonderful occasion of the Games 25 years ago, a time when so many of us feel this city reached that which we hope it will always be. Well, we can't only look past. In honoring 40 people, and we could be honoring 4,000 people who are in this community who do the things for no compensation that matter to other Angelenos to make our lives better, we're seeing the future of this city. And we thank you for helping us recognize those people. That makes this time, July 18th, as relevant today and tomorrow as it is for 25 years ago. So, Anita, would you like to say a word?
Anita DeFrance.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity to thank the city again. Because of the success of those games, we've been able to provide the best that sports has to offer to more than 2 million kids in Southern California. We make programs, we teach people how to coach. Over 40,000 people have learned how to coach through our programs. We have the best sports library in the universe. No one's doubted me on that so far. And we undertake research, and we know that sports is a powerful force in society. And I'm grateful that this city long ago stood tall and did what was necessary to actually bring the games here. So I thank you all on behalf of the millions of kids who have been the beneficiaries of the 1984 Foundation, the LA84 Foundation. I also have a pen, which is a memorial of the 84 logo and now the LA84 Foundation logo.
Mr. Parks.
I will give this. Well, I have one for each council person.
All right, then we all get one.
I'm generous.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
Because
very
you
much.
all were generous when it made a difference.
Well, before you leave, I want to make sure that we present this certificate here in chamber, and then we'll go in the back. But come on, gather around.
Okay.
And,
President,
I need to come back over
all right,
here.
move for you so you can get a photo.
Mr. Rosendahl.
Yes, before you go in the back, I just want to acknowledge 25 years ago, I had the pleasure, obviously, of going to the Olympics. I was a cable guy and television and all that, and it was incredibly great. But the volunteers, the community, the support that you generated will always live with us. And I know the leadership, Mr. Sanders, that you now provide on Rec and Park Oversight Board, your continued commitment, all of you, to volunteerism and partnering with the private sector is something so stellar that I am grateful, and we will always be grateful. And I look forward to the Olympics coming back to Los Angeles someday in the future. And what we did in '84 has set the groundwork for future times for it to happen here. Again, hats off to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Perry, before we leave there, along with Mr. Parks and LA84 Foundation and myself, we developed this map that shows the Los Angeles Games, both the 32 and the 84 Games. We'll distribute them. We'll make them available to your offices and schools to learn of the legacy, which is so important, which is tied to Los Angeles. And by the way, Los Angeles was the first Olympic to have a marathon that included women. There were so many great firsts about the 84 Games. Thank you very much, Ms. Perry. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Perry, Mr. LaBonge. Mr. LaBonge, you're up for another presentation.
Yes. Okay, Andy, let's see. You got these. Yep. Okay. You're going to go that way. I think I got to go another one. David, I'll talk to you. We'll see you. Thank you. From the Olympic movement, we honor someone who did an Olympic job in Los Angeles. Please welcome Clark Robbins, Deputy City Engineer for the City of Los Angeles. After 45 years of service to the people of Los Angeles, this man, who's done an excellent job, is retiring. I'm joined by Gary Lee Moore, the great city engineer, and also I am joined by many, many, many great engineers as well. We're going to have a little quick PowerPoint so I could show you the work of the great Clark Robbins, who started with the city so many years ago. Clark was born in Salt Lake City, and he went to the University of Utah. At Utah, he got his engineering degree, did post-grad work at Southern Cal. And here we have all the work there, the bridges that he's built, which is so important. You can look at the historic bridges. And I'll tell you, he reacted to the jobs that were done in the past, Councilman Huizar, that didn't reflect the history of the Los Angeles River bridges, and he changed the way we restore bridges. The internet-based public works permit, he made it available for businesses throughout the city who do work with the city of Los Angeles to go on the internet and get a permit. He's truly a tremendous individual, and I wanted to honor him today with the technology. We're showing the various works that he's done on internet-based GSI work, all the work at Tillman Reclamation Plant, the Terminal Island Reclamation Plant, and all the special things. So, Clark, I wanted to say, number one, I love you, okay, because the work that you did. You fought when we had to fight, because there was times where they didn't want to restore bridges at all. And your man fought so hard that he changed the way we do it. And now, Mr. Huizar, I say again, because next to the Hyperion Bridge, the 6th Street Bridge is my favorite bridge, they're going to find a way to make it right. Under Mr. Huizar's leadership, because of what Clark Robbins has said in the past, we're going to find a way to make it right. So, Clark, on behalf of the City of Los Angeles and the mayor and all the council, I want to honor you for who you are and what you've done. You're truly a great friend of the city. All the bridges that people will cross are safer and are more artistic because of you. And for the history friends that are so important, there was a deputy city engineer named Merrill Butler. Merrill Butler in the 20s led the City Beautiful movement. And the City Beautiful movement, that's where we got those great bridges that crossed the LA River. It was a deputy city engineer. And under the help of current city engineer Gary Lee Moore, Clark Robbins, the deputy city engineer, took the charge to make those bridges historic again. Clark, on behalf of all my colleagues and the mayor, we want to salute you, our new city attorney, and our city controller, Wendy Gruhl. Congratulations, Clark Robbins, 45 years. Can I say a few words? Yeah.
They asked me why I stayed here so long, and I think you can hear in Tom's voice one of the reasons. I don't know where you could go and find a more challenging career, starting with day one right up to today. But more important, I don't know where you could go to find the kind of support from the Board of Public Works, the council, the mayor, that I've had throughout my 45 years. And most important of all, the voters of this great city always put their money into their vision of a better place to live, and they have supported me and allowed me and all my comrades here today to do a part of that mission for them. Thank you all very much. Good luck.
Mr. Labange, before Mr. Moore, Councilmember Huizar.
Thank you. I quickly just want to give you a big congratulations, Mr. Robbins, and thank you for all your work. Particularly, as you know, we're embarking on a retrofitting of the beautiful 6th Street Bridge. And when you think about Los Angeles, we don't have as many icons we could point to as saying that's Los Angeles. We have the Hollywood sign, the Griffith Park, a few other places. But when people see those bridges, we want people to know that that is Los Angeles, and we want to preserve our history and know that it once linked the east side of Los Angeles to the west of Los Angeles. So it also represents a very symbolic message to Angelenos about us living and working together. And thanks for not only your work on the bridges, but all your public works projects. It's what makes Los Angeles great. And right now, the 4th and Lorena Street Bridge, where I grew up, I played baseball underneath that bridge, and the rocks and everything else. That's why I could never get a quick hop, Mr. Labange, from Salesian High School when I was shortstop there. It's now being retrofitted. So thank you and all of the public works personnel for the wonderful work you do. And Mr. Labange, this is great. Thank you for being the historian for the City of Los Angeles.
No, thank you very much. Clark Robbins taught me a lot, and he also taught me always to introduce your special one right here, Elizabeth. Give Elizabeth a big hand. Thank you, Elizabeth. All right, we're going to go in the back.
I think Mr. Moore had some comments.
I just want to say, think where you were on July 1st, 1964. Clark Robbins was first day at work, and it's just from all of us in the Bureau of Engineering, Clark, we're going to miss you. You've been the Rock of Gibraltar, and many, many, many happy years of retirement for all of us in the Bureau of Engineering. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning.
Thank you. Congratulations to you. Madam Clerk, I think we're at 9 members. We need one more so we can move forward.
That's correct.
So we're in a hold pattern. Mr. Koretz, if you can please come to council chambers. Mr. Paul Koretz, come to council chambers. You will make our quorum. Councilmember Paul Koretz, we need you in council chambers so we can conduct our council meeting.
Okay, you want to have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Smith, motion to adjourn.
Yeah, it's now 40 minutes after the hour, and this is way beyond anything we wait for, so I move we adjourn.
Where is Mr. Koretz? There he is. All right. Madam Clerk,
Call roll.
Mr. Koretz is here. Please call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Hahn, Weezer, Koretz, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti, 10 members present, and a quorum, Mr. President.
Very well. On the agenda,
First item is approval of the minutes.
minutes are approved. Without objection.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Koretz moves. Mr. Smith seconds.
On the regular agenda, the first item is an item notice for public hearing, and I understand there's a request to continue that matter to July 24th.
Without objection, that matter is continued to the 24th.
Next items are items for which public hearings have been held, items 2 through 16. Reports have been submitted on 13, 14, and 15, and I believe there's a request on item number 12 to continue that matter for 1 week, which would be July 17th. And also on item number 16, that item was continued in committee, so that would be referred back to the ITGS committee.
Open the roll on all the remaining items. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Very well. Next item, please.
Next items are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration, and those are 17 through 20.
17 through 20. Any specials?
And I'm sorry, Mr. President, there are cards on 17 and 20.
We will call those special.
17 and 20 are called special.
Open the roll. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes. And on those two, those are ordinances, and those would go over 1 week to the 17th.
Thank you. Next item, please.
The next, that would take council to the special meeting. Do you wish to have the roll for the special meeting?
We'll adjourn
Recess.
recess and then open to the special meeting.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Han, Weezer, Koretz, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti, 10 members present, and a quorum, Mr. President.
Very well.
And all the items on this meeting are items for which public hearings have been held. Those are items 21 through 27.
Very well. Mr. Rosendahl?
23 and 27 special.
23, 27 special. Mr. Alarcon, you want to call those special too? Any other specials? Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes. And, Mr. President, would you like to take those matters while council's in the special meeting so that you can just take them up at the same time?
Yes.
And then that would be 23 and 27, and both by Mr. Rosendahl.
Very well.
Mr. Rosendahl.
Mr. Rosendahl, you're up.
What item?
23.
23. Oh, great. Great. Could we ask Lawa to come on up for this? And this is something that, colleagues, just for your information, we discussed thoroughly in the committee, but I thought some of you might be interested in this. This is approval of the acquisition of property currently owned by AMB Park 1 at LAX, located at 6351 West Century Boulevard, for the amount of $126,562,050, or $50. The bottom line is this is a beautiful piece of property, location within the airport that for many years folks have been interested in, but we never had it on the open market for us to get an opportunity to get it. With the acquiring of this, we have more options for that land and dreams that give us opportunities. One, we could keep it as a parking lot, which it is, and we get a revenue stream from that. We could use it if we have to move runways around for safety purposes. It could possibly fit in for that. And also, so dear to our hearts, Ms. Hahn and mine and Mr. Labange, is getting the green line into the airport seamlessly like so many countries around the planet have. So we're very excited about this, and I'd like you to just give us a quick thumbnail from my colleagues, and hopefully they will approve it as well. Introduce yourself.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Stephen Martin, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer at LAWA. The property that we're talking about here, if you look at it on a map, is encircled with roadways and has been avoided for years in terms of transportation planning. And acquiring it gives us the opportunity to look at transportation options, including transit options that come straight into the airport right next to Terminal 1. And so while we don't have specific plans for what we will do with the property, while we study our alternatives, it will generate revenue as a parking lot, and we have control over the property if this transaction is closed so that we can start doing planning with that piece of property in mind.
And I might say, and I know Nan and Denny Snyder are here, I don't know if they pulled a card on this, but they're the RSAC group that have been so active in concerns and issues of the airport, and they're 100% in favor of it as well. So I just think it's a great thing, and we should move forward with it. Thank you, Madam President. Ms. Hahn?
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. Ms. Hahn.
Thank you, colleagues. I invoked our authority to assert jurisdiction over this action that the Board of Airport Commissioners took in approving the purchase of the Park 1 property for $126 million, because I thought it was such a big deal. It was the largest real estate transaction in LA County that I thought there was a lot of questions that people would want us to ask. Number one, was this the best deal we could have made at $126 million? Some of us had watched some of the reports where it looked like $120 million was one of the prices thrown around. So we're just wanting to know, is this the best deal we could have gotten? Why is this worth it to have this piece of property in the hands of LAX? Why was this so valuable for us to own? And then, as Councilman Rosendahl talked about, surely we're all wondering what exactly you're going to use it for. It's a parking lot right now. Are you going to continue using it as a parking lot? What are your plans? And we know you don't have the complete master plan pinpointed on where everything goes, but many people have thought maybe this is the area for the Green Line extension, which we're all very excited to have finally go into LAX. So these were questions that I think were on a lot of people's minds. This wasn't a hostile takeover of the Commission's decision. It was just an opportunity to bring this to the full City Council and everybody watching to know whether or not this was a prudent real estate deal, why it seems so important, and how this will help give LAX flexibility in the future as you plan for the modernization of that airport. That was a lot of questions.
Okay. Just in terms of the structure of the deal, just so that you know, the negotiations for acquisition went on for more than 6 months. So this was a very heavily negotiated price. It was not an instantaneous decision. We had appraisal work done for the current use of the property, which is a surface parking lot. Traditionally, appraisals are done for what's called the highest and best use of the property. That is what its potential might be. Partly because we wanted a financial deal that made sense, we constrained the appraisals to say we wanted it appraised as if it's nothing other than a parking lot ever, even though we believe there's a lot more opportunity for the land than just being a surface parking lot. We did, as is rumored, negotiate around a $120 million price. That was rejected. So it was, if it was viewed as a price that was 125 is viewed as overpaying, we were rejected at nearby prices, such as 120 million. We finally settled on 125, and our financial analysis says we get a very good rate of return on that price. So the rate of return on the price that we've negotiated is excellent, better than we can do with other uses of our money. And as I said earlier, what it gives us the opportunity to do is to explore the options with this property because we would control it. And once you control it, you can start thinking about what the alternatives are. We are starting a process in the next month or so that is going to start looking at bringing transit into the airport and looking at other alternatives. That obviously requires us to coordinate closely with Metro in terms of exploring how that could be done, since it's engineering-wise quite complicated. But at least we now would have the opportunity to look at that, and the property would continue to be a parking lot in the meantime, generating revenue, which is a nice alternative for us.
How much revenue will that generate for us?
It generates about $8.5 million, I believe, in annual revenue, which is a nice sum of money given the acquisition cost.
Is the same company going to operate it as a parking lot?
The land owner has leased the property to a parking lot operator and separately to a billboard operator. As part of the acquisition, we will have to assume the leases that are there. They expire in the next few years, but in the meantime, the current operators will continue to operate, and the public won't see a difference.
So it's still going to be called Park 1?
Yeah, it's still going to be called Park and Fly at Park 1. That lease runs until 2012.
Okay. Let me ask a question about environmental cleanup of that property for any future use. Are we responsible for cleaning it up?
No, we're not. Mike Molina, External Affairs with LAWA. The property was used as an aircraft manufacturing facility from World War II till about 1990. And as a result of that use, it does contain some soil and groundwater contamination that is required to be remediated. The former owner of the property, Honeywell, is responsible and continues to do the remediation. And in fact, as part of this deal, we have received an indemnity agreement from Honeywell that they will continue all remediation that's remaining at the property.
That's a good deal. Well, colleagues, again, this was in no way meant to, criticize this decision to purchase this property, but again, since it was the largest real estate transaction in the county and a very visible corner for a lot of the public, there were just some questions that I thought were worth asking out loud in this forum, but we had a very lively discussion about this in my committee yesterday morning. So I think a lot of people would say, good job. Probably wish you'd have bought it first time it came up. But nevertheless, it's you needed that property, and it feels right that it's now within the hands of LAWA to do what it will with that property in the future. So, colleagues, I would suggest that we approve the recommendation, that we concur with the board's decision to purchase this property. Thank you.
Mr. Labange.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hahn, for your leadership on this and bringing it forward. Mr. Rosendahl, thank you always for the airport. The one thing out of committee just wanted to articulate, there's a missing chair at the airport that you're going to fill. They're going to find someone who's existing on staff who's going to be, I don't like to use the word czar unless I'm in St. Petersburg, but there's going to be the transportation oversee. Explain that because there's a potential for a lot of activity here.
Yeah, the discussion we had in your committee was to try to get somebody identified who's clearly in charge and accountable for coordinating all the transportation with other agencies that involve the airport. And I think we're committed to do that. We haven't ever had anybody clearly identified as this is our transportation lead person who's going to coordinate and be able to explain everything when asked. And we're pretty committed to do that.
And thank you. And as always, in your committee, you're going to look at this in 3-6 months. We're going to follow all the time because transit dollars with Prop R and other thoughts are all happening. You're a very important place for all of Los Angeles and Southern California. And safety, number one, but accessibility and less impacts on neighborhoods. The Green Line to Sepulveda. I can't see it stop at Aviation. What's on the corner of Aviation and Century Boulevard, Mike Molina?
Liquor store and a mini market.
And something else, too, which your priest would want you to go into. So make sure it goes all the way to Sepulveda.
Something that has 3 X's in front of it.
Thank you very much. You forgot that corner. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Labange. No further speakers in the queue.
There's a card.
We do have 2 cards on this matter.
Yeah, we can go back.
Unless the council... Okay. Council member wants some... we'll give them 2 minutes each. Mr. Denny Schneider and Nan Schneider.
Madam President, council members, I'm thrilled to be here to tell you that I again support something that LAWA is doing, and I think this shows foresight, and you need to just move on with it and get this done. Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Nan Schneider, and I also thank you for approving this. This is something that will give the airport some flexibility. If it turns out that they need to separate the north runways, there's a place to move south finally to make up the gates, and it would be way less expensive than anything else they could do, and they have the flexibility to do this, and thank you for your foresight.
Mr. Arnold Sachs.
Yes, thank you. For more than half the cost of the $200 million that have been talked about for the extension of the Green Line to the LAWA, to the airport, is being spent on this property. So less than $75 million. LAWA expansion, as we stand right now, without the midfield concourse, is running at $8 billion. So for 0.08% of that $8 billion, with this funding that they're spending on property, they could have the Green Line going to the airport. I would like Councilman Alarcon to mention to Councilman Rosendahl the results when he was sitting in the state legislation regarding the bill for the San Fernando busway, the $75 million, and what happened with that. We hear a lot about how Jenny Araposa wants the Green Line. Jenny Araposa wants the Green Line. I believe Councilman Alarcon mentioned there was $75 million for a San Fernando busway, and there's still no busway. The airline, the LAWA, the job they're doing, it's unfortunate they couldn't get the captain of the Titanic to run that commission. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, would you please open the roll on this item? Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Mr. Rosendahl has a quick announcement.
Yes, just a quick announcement. Many of you know Aaron Gross worked for me, but once you work for me, and I know we all feel this way, we all work and stay as family. Aaron's family has increased. He's now the proud father of Gabriel Elijah Gross. Come on over. And we just want to honor him today, right now, for this. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Bill. Daddy-o, bless you.
Mr. Wesson.
Madam President, would this be the appropriate time to notify everybody that Lacey has been adopted by Felipe in the CLA's office? He indicated that he adopted Lacey to keep his dog Austin, who's 6 months old, to keep Austin on her toes. So I just want to know our 100% record still lives.
Congratulations. All right, Madam Clerk, next item.
Next item, Madam President, is item 27, and that was also called special by Councilmember Rosendahl.
Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Madam President. And again, Ms. Hahn and Mr. Labange and I, it was another great meeting. We had substantive meeting on a lot of issues regarding LAX's modernization. One of them has been the 3 holes to restore to the Westchester Golf Course. Apparently, it was hanging around as an issue for like 20 years. I'm not a golfer myself, I'll be honest about it, but there's a tremendous interest in that becoming a whole golf course. And when we look at the 340 acres in the north side and how we're going to work forward on different projects, the first thing we were hoping is that that piece of land could be carved out that's contiguous to the golf course and given back to the golf course and get the 18 holes. I'm happy to say everything is moving forward on it, and we expect to tee off on 18 holes either by the end of the year or the beginning part of 2010. So I'd just like a quick comment on how we got to this point and just ended up by saying we're moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen Martin, Chief Operating Officer of LAWA. Just as background, I believe that the 3 holes were removed from the golf course in the early 90s, quite a long time ago, and it's a very large IOU that we have to get them restored. We really started putting our nose to the grindstone on this at the direction of our board late last year, went through an RFP process to select an operator, and we are one piece of paper away from having the authority to build the 3 holes, which is a piece of paper we need from the FAA, which we expect to get in the next few weeks. And so that will allow 3 months of construction to occur and 3 months of seeding to occur, at which point we expect it to be fully restored to 18 holes.
Great. Thank you very much, Madam President.
Mr. Wesson.
Yeah, I do want to say this. I impersonate a golfer. I do my very best. I don't play that well. I go to the driving range at Westchester, and it amazes me that people recognize me and they come up and they ask me, this should be an 18-hole course. In fact, I've had people send documentation to my office. I've played this executive course, and it's a cute track, so I'm every bit, maybe more so excited than you and your constituents, and I'm going to say to the department that somebody is going to have to break in those 3 new holes. So I will begrudgingly volunteer to be the first person to put divots on those 3 holes. But anyway, congratulations. I think you're going to make a lot of people happy. This is good news, Bill, really.
Mr. Alarcon?
You want to speak? Okay. Thank you. There's no further speakers in the queue. And Madam Clerk, I believe there's already been a public hearing on this matter?
Yes, there has.
Okay, so if you would please open the roll. Mr. Rosendahl?
Who was one of the main activists for a long, long time on this. With his leadership in the background of the Westchester community, we've arrived.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rosendahl. So if you would open the roll and then close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Next item.
Madam President, that concludes the special meeting. Do you wish to adjourn and go back to the regular meeting?
Yes, please.
That would take council back to the items called special and public comment.
All right, why don't we go through the agenda because we are at risk of losing a quorum.
Okay,
the first item on the agenda.
First item called special is item 17, and that was called special for cards.
All right, item 17. All right. That will be Mr. Zumadog, Mr. Matthew Dowd, and Mr. Arnold Sachs.
Yes, and I know we're just having a busy day of presentations, but if I could please have City Council's complete attention of all council members, because it's hard to talk when council members are having conversations too close to Zumadog. Okay? And remember, I'm more beloved, recognized with integrity than any of you, so please, I need your respect. Now we're talking about this is very important, let me tell you why. We're talking about the federal stimulus money. I'm here to tell you, I do expect Barack Obama Chief of Staffer Rahm Emanuel to be flying to Los Angeles personally to be getting his hands around this situation. Zumadog feels that this stimulus money that you are applying for, job creation money for shovel-ready projects, I'm told that the money was used to plug up the Viragosa budget gap. Some of it went to LAX, some of it went to DWP, some of it to ports. You notice Parks and Recs aren't laid off and whatnot. So I need to be very clear here, people, and for the people at home watching, I'm here to say U.S. President Barack Obama is furious at Antonio Viragosa in Los Angeles City Hall and will be cracking down because his federal stimulus money for shovel-ready projects that he really thought this was going to work. He needs those jobs. And for Antonio to take that stimulus money and use it for anything else besides job creation is wrong. And it doesn't matter if you say, well, you save people from getting fired. That's not what the money was used for. All the union members across the city are furious at Antonio because they thought that the jobs were coming. Like the birds waiting for the worms to come down from the hey, the jobs are coming, Barack, the stimulus money, and Kaputnik. This is going to be a very big deal. Zumadog, breaking news, federal stimulus money. You better watch it carefully. You got till about September to get those job numbers up, and I am not kidding.
Thank you very much. Mr. Matthew Dowd and Mr. Arnold Sachs, you are the next speaker after Mr. Dowd.
Thank you. Yes, so it points to a lack of transparency on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, as usual. So I want to welcome Paul Koretz. And as he found out, I want the council to know, as he found out in committee, we still don't have the numbers to do anything because they just get outvoted. Anything they want to do, they're just going to outvote you at this point. But we're working on it. It's nice to see Jack Weiss won't be having his hands on any of this money. Oh, wait, unless he ends up at LAWA, and then they'll probably end up with some anyway because it's shady. Now, Mayor Villaraigosa's got the City of Los Angeles in a power of trouble, and the first thing he did was back Hillary. Obama doesn't like him, first of all, just for that. So that's what we need when we get this money. I need Paul Koretz, Carmen Tritanich, and Wendy Gruhl, and praise God, we hope, but I doubt, to keep their eyes on the money. That's what we talked about here. The money gets shoveled away into projects that they're not intended, that the money's not intended for. And they front-end load the managements, they take away all the money, and then they start with the project, they run out of money, come back to you with more in the form of bonds, and then the city ends up bankrupt because all the money gets taken by those shady development capital investors who end up losing it all in the stock market and downtown development projects. So it's very important that the people act to replace certain council members who are responsible. You know, Budget and Finance, the Plum Committee, some of these committees, they need fresh blood. It's pretty apparent if the city's in a $500 million budget deficit and there's a $7 billion pension loss and you're on the verge of bankruptcy.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Sachs, you're our next speaker.
Good morning. Arnold Sachs. I don't know how many people managed to read yesterday's New York Times front page story. Municipalities expecting stimulus funds are not getting as much because the federal government is sending it to the states, and the states are using it to spread around throughout the whole state at the expense of municipalities. So where does that leave L.A.? We're getting, guess what, another smokescreen of all the greatness that will happen in L.A. when we get this federal stimulus funding. But do we have a list of projects, really a list of projects stated 1 to 10 that'll have funds that we know will be not only eligible for the funds, but actually get the funds as projects 1 through 10, maybe 1 through 15 for each district. We need to have some kind of concrete evidence that this is not another smokescreen perpetuated by our mayor and carried on by this marvelous city council. Because when the rubber hits the road and the funding that they're talking about amounts to maybe 30%, then the scramble will be on. Who gets what? Who's prostituting what to get the projects for their constituents? Step up and let's get some reporting, which would be a novel idea, in the council chambers, and some kind of meat that the public can finally have something to chew on.
Thank you very much. There are no speakers in the queue on this item, so Madam Clerk.
Madam President, I'm sorry, there's no action required on this item.
All right.
This is a placeholder type item.
Okay, great. What's our next item?
And next item is item 20, and that was called special for cards.
Mr. Arnold Sachs, you are our first speaker. And you have 1 minute left today. And come on back, please. Mr. Zumadog, you... Okay. And then
I'm sorry,
Mr.
Madam
Matthew
Chair.
Dowd.
The first card was for a special meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Zumadog?
REAK, the rent escrow program that the city is involved in. Maybe you also might have seen the newspaper article in the LA Times on Sunday showing Fresno, the valley in Fresno, where the farmers walking through just an arid field because of lack of water. These REAP programs are the first step to take over by developers so that they can tear the buildings down and construct multi-unit condominiums and apartments and other structures. But where's the water going to come from? Who's going to pay that bill? It's the Achilles heel for development. You keep going down this highway, bat out of hell, and the public here is going to pay the price because there's not going to be any water. We have visionaries, and I use that word with a caution, because people here will talk about how they all started with the Bradley administration.
I don't believe he's talking about the
please
REAP
stop his
program.
clock. And Mr. Sachs, if you could please stay on topic.
We have visionaries who set policy here. It was so nice when you were gone. Could you take another couple days for vacation? Where were you when they had to... Never mind. So the visionaries who came up through the ranks of the Bradley administration. Answer this question. What happened to Bradley's vision of the subway to the sea? You all were here in working as council members. visionaries for housing.
Mr. Sachs, thank you. All right, Mr. Zumadog, you're our next speaker. Followed by Mr. Dowd.
Yes, we're talking about the city's rent escrow program, and now that City Attorney Carmen Trutanich has taken office, I know his top priority is to keep the city compliant legally and to also protect the city's treasury. So I'd like to put on the record for City Attorney Carmen Trutanich, it has been brought to Zumadog's attention that the city is involved in illegal racketeering and corruption regarding the rent escrow programs. Some things to look out for: short notice being sent out, excessive fees, you still get liens after compliance, and overall just running around roughshod saying, hey, you're on REAP. And I will be sending all my memos of the community, forwarding them to the city attorney's office. Now, when we're talking about rent escrow, we're also talking about graffiti. This, I say, Zumadog says this issue will be a graffiti issue, because what this is about, people, is the city to look around and say, well, you have a vacant lot, there's graffiti, and then they're like, put a big fence around it, then they'll charge you for the fence and charge you for the graffiti removal. And this is very important. However, the graffiti situation is going to become a crisis situation, and it's going to be very difficult if you're trying to make all the business owners be responsible for the graffiti on their own stores. So I'm here to say that you should take some of this REAP money that you're taking, even if it's illegal in many cases, and use it to put back into graffiti removal, because companies, businesses are not going to be able to afford to keep up with the removal. It's really out of control, and I think you know that. And even in the nice areas of town, this guy 2 Cents in Marina Del Rey, Venice area, he's tagging up the area. So you're going to need, it cannot be only on the business people. They're not going to be able to afford it. Use this money. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Matthew Dowd.
Yes, thank you. I want to talk about another angle with these rent escrow programs. A lot of the people who get forced into these and then have a lot of trouble getting out of them, they have a resentment against the city of Los Angeles. And these are the people who wind up in juries in all the multitudes of lawsuits against the city of Los Angeles right now. We've had the CAO in here saying how the city of Los Angeles does not do well in jury trials, and it's because you mess with a lot of people who don't deserve to be messed with, and you don't mess with all the people who do deserve to be messed with. And we're talking about the mayor and the commissioners and all these things that you really do have legislative power over.
Mr. Dowd, I'm going to stop your clock for a minute and ask you to please go back on topic. Thank you. Please start his clock again.
So the people on the rent escrow programs, I've heard them in federal court complaining about the city. These are some of them right here. I'm glad people are getting out of that program. It means their buildings are up to compliance and they didn't get forced to shut down with big liens. And we see them in here all the time. City attorney, I hope he's going to clean up that all of these city departments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There are no speakers in the queue on this item. So, Madam Clerk, if you would, please open the roll, close the roll, and then tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Next item.
Next item, Madam President, is public comment.
All right. Just a second. Dr. Clyde Williams and then Arnold Sachs.
Dr. Clyde Williams, 4115 Bear Road, El Sereno, Northeast LA. DWP. Next week, another variance will be requested from DWP by the council. Item number 77 on Tuesday. Again, number 78 on Tuesday. All of these things are representing variances for commercial and residential properties. Yes, some people will have problems watering their lawn by hand. I would suggest that they use soakers rather than sprinklers, thereby complying they can water every day with a soaker. However, the Board of Water and Power requested that variances be sent back to the department staff so that they can revise them, because they didn't like the concept of variance, because in the background, every variance that is given is considered to be revenue neutral, which means that everybody else has to pay for it. Regarding the high fire danger areas, if they had removed the vegetation in compliance with the department and fire department's rules and regulations, they have no problem. The problem arises that there's no enforcement of the LA Fire Department for many people, especially in CD5 and parts of CD2. Therefore, I would recommend that you reconsider any sort of request for variations to be submitted to the Department of Water and Power, because the Board of Water and Power has requested the staff to review them and to eliminate variances so that everybody pays their fair share. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Arnold Sachs is our next speaker. Following Mr. Sachs will be Walter Bechtel.
Thank you again. Good morning, Arnold Sachs. On Wednesday, this past Wednesday, there was a few speakers that came to the City Council chambers regarding the setting of the date for the LA Marathon. And I believe one of the first speakers mentioned that I didn't speak on behalf of them. And he's totally right. I'm speaking about the marathon just as an example of the duplicity of the City Council. You've heard members of Save Our Sabbath come before the council crying to have the marathon run on a holiday Monday. So, where were they in February of 2006 when the contract C93753 was extended from 2010 to 2015? What that means now that the contract has been changed and sold to Frank McCourt's company is that for the city to renegotiate to get the marathon run back on a Sunday, they have to pay for 6 years for breaking the lease, breaking the contract. Where's that money going to come from? It come from Councilman Smith's district. He's always got a big no to shake his head. That's the problem with the marathon. It's not about the date. It's not about the characters involved. It's always about the money. Now, it seems our new controller has a buzz in her bonnet about the lunches for the lunches that were paid by for the Michael Jackson event. It was reported in the LA Times that this company was used for several reasons. Where was the controller when the fires occurred at Griffith Park? Where was the controller for the fires in North San Fernando Valley?
Thank you very much, Mr. Sachs. Thank you. Our next speaker is Walter Bechtel. Following Mr. Bechtel is Mr. Zumadog.
Okay. Well, I was going to say something about the money, but I see you got plenty of money to buy the diseased property there that Honeywell ruined the ground table with. But I'd also like to say I've been trying to talk to people over at LAHD and the engineering department and the fire department, and every time I say something to them, they say, yes, okay, we're going to send an inspector out there and we're going to see this property or that property, but they never get out there, and I think we got our problem with too many people lying to the public. Maybe the city can make some more money by finding some of these clerks and people who lie to the public. I mean, because like I was trying to explain to you, you got an integrity problem here. People don't like to put money into a city or anything that doesn't have any integrity. If you keep lying to the people, promise them one thing and do something else. I was told that there was going to be an inspector out to the place there, and there hasn't been no inspector out there. And then when there is an inspector, he lies and says there aren't any violations. We got water coming out of the wall there, turn on the shower, and there's little thimbles for shower heads that aren't regulation or anything. Well, somebody's been telling them, don't do anything at the Ford Hotel. We don't want any violations over there. Well, is that supposed to get the integrity you're looking for and make good with the promises that you're promising the people and the state and the United States with? I mean, HUD and the rest of everybody else is going to continue to take sanctions against you if you keep doing something like that.
Mr. Dowd, and then we'll go out to the valley. Mr. Dog, then Mr. Dowd. First Dog, then Dowd.
Yes, Dog Dowd, like Snoop Dre. Yes, first of all, I don't like to get too personal, but I like to take a moment seriously. I've been very burnt out and run down, and I didn't think I'd be here today, but I was out last night, and I just really have to thank the people in Los Angeles. Yes, some people out there let me know that they do pay attention here, and just today when I really didn't think I would come, I thought of the people last night and everything they said. I'm here to tell you, City Council, the city is paying a lot of attention to what's going on right here at this public comment podium. And when I say pay attention, I mean they're watching me, y'all, and they're not liking you guys, and they're not fooling anybody. So first of all, I'd like to say hello to the EAA and everybody tuning in today on their first unpaid furlough day home, kind of like a snow day if you lived in the East Coast. Very sad. And Matt and myself noticed thinned out traffic as a result today. Also, regarding the Michael Jackson Memorial, I'm concerned about some very bad PR that's coming. First of all, I don't care what anybody says. Who made the decision to drive 80 miles outside the city to get some sandwiches? I want to know. I don't care. They say, oh, we had to go 80 miles outside of the city. They were the only place that could accommodate for the LAPD. Are you here to tell me that this city could not accommodate its own police force to feed it? And you had to go 80 miles outside the city? I don't buy it. I want an investigation. I want that person who made the decision kicked out of city borders. He can go 80 miles and go eat sandwich and go work over there, okay? That is the most outrageous thing I've heard, and it's a small potatoes thing, but it says a lot. Now, I'd like to say it is not city, and I like to stick up for Jan Perry. It's not her decision to allocate the amount of resources that were needed for the Jackson events. It's up to LAPD to make those allocations. Had Jan Perry said, no, it's too much and we need to scale back, can you imagine if something happened? And finally, be very careful going after the Jackson family. Stick to AEG when you go after the money.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dowd.
See, Zuma Dog ought to be mayor. We need executives like that. Make decisions. Give them an office, for God's sake. Put every issue in front of him on the table. Pay him. Get the facts. Get the decision. And get rid of 500 attorneys over the road here who are putting you in a power of dung. Here's the latest one. Even the LAPD Internal Affairs calling me a liar after I got handcuffed and dragged off the beach for saying something. I cussed him out, just the basic F LAPD, and I'll spare you the F word, but at home I think you can probably figure it out by now. Inciting a riot, felony arrest, fingerprinted, handcuffed, the whole thing. But did Matt Dowd go in front of a judge over any of this? No, never. And it happened a year ago. I complained within the month. It took a year for the investigation. Yes, it didn't happen in the manner that you described. Basically, you're a liar. So I didn't go in handcuffs for speech and go into jail and then get released and not be processed at all with any kind of judge. So Chief Bratton gets my boo of the day. Ed Reyes is spared because he's got it permanently, normally, but I'll relieve him of the boo of the day. Chief Bratton, boo for letting this kind of bullshit go through. I don't know.
Excuse me, stop his clock. I'm going to have to object to your language. You have to refrain from using obscene language.
No, Jan.
Mr. Weston,
you can
turn his
ban
mic
him.
off, please.
He shouldn't.
Mic off.
You can ban him from. No, that's he should not, I don't know, whatever we did with Zuma Dog, now look,
His mic is off.
he should be, what is the ruling?
He should be removed. He should be ordered removed.
No, but isn't there where he can't speak for the next 3 council days or something? Don't we have that rule? I think that's definitely worthy of that.
All right, excuse me, Mr. Dowd, you need to take a break now. Thank you.
No, but we do have...
You need to take a break. Thank you.
Madam President, he should be ordered removed for disrupting the meeting.
Yeah, take a break from the chamber now. Now we'll go to the San Fernando Valley for Mr. Mark Hurd.
And that...
No, it is not a joke. Thank you.
We should let him know that he can't... Dion, what is the... Please, come on.
In the recent past, the council president has ordered him, someone who's disrupted a meeting like this, not to be allowed in council or to speak for the next 2 meetings.
All right, Mr. Dowd, according to our guidance from the city attorney, you will not be allowed to speak for the next 2 meetings, so we'll see you next week. Thank you very much. And we'll go out to the San Fernando Valley to Mr. Mark Hurd.
Thank you, Madam Councilwoman. I would recommend the word buffalo chips as a solution to that problem. I want to give a shout-out and a big congratulations to Paul Koretz. Welcome to CD5. We are so happy to have you. You have no idea. My name's Mark Hurd. I'm the former president of the Park Ashton Homeowners Association in Westwood and a current board member of the Westwood Homeowners Association. Now, as many of you know, there's a battle going on in Westwood right now between the neighborhood council people and the homeowners associations. The homeowners don't want the neighborhood council. Paul, I'd like to personally invite you to the Westwood Neighborhood Council Formation meeting Monday night at the Westwood Park Rec Center. Oh, by the way, the clock here is not working. I don't know any idea how much time I have, and that, could you please fix this? I've seen this go down 10 times. So, 6:30 at the Westwood Park Rec Center. We've sent your people invitations.
1 minute.
Thank you, ma'am. We've sent your people information. We haven't heard back. Also, I didn't see one of your deputies for the first time in years. I didn't see a council deputy at the Westwood Homeowners Association meeting. So if you can't make it Monday night to the Westwood Neighborhood Council, please send a deputy and get whatever information you have. If you're busy, just let us know that. That'd be great. I want to give a shout out to Bill Rosendahl. Bill, you know God made you big. Gave you a big heart because you take on the big issues, and I just want to give a shout out to you. I want to give a shout out to all the speakers that come out and take their time to come down to Van Nuys, San Pedro, and downtown for whatever your causes are. Zuma Dog, the doctor from Sereno, El Sereno, all you guys are superheroes. I love you guys. And for the guy who keeps asking where the mayor is, my people tell me he's in Africa. Why doesn't the city council just answer that guy? I mean, it's just answer him. He's in Africa, or we don't know. But I think that man deserves an answer. Thank you. God bless City Council.
Thank you very much. Back to City Hall. There's no further speaker cards, no speakers in the queue. So, Madam Clerk, if you would please open... I'm sorry. Gosh. Yes, public comment. No additional public comment cards. So that marks the end of our public comment. So then public comment is now closed. Madam Clerk, what is our next issue?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Okay, those motions are posted and referred.
And there's an excuse on the desk. Councilmember Alacon requests to be excused July 15th, arrive at 11 a.m. for city business that meets council policy.
All right, that'll be without objection.
And that clears the desk.
All right, members, are there any announcements? Mr. Rosendahl has an announcement.
Yes, I'm very proud of folks in my district who are talking about ways in which we can use our water more effectively. And so we have set up a Wise Water Use Expo on Tuesday, July 21st. The tables will be set up at 6, speakers at 7, at the Mar Vista Park Auditorium on Woodbine Street in Mar Vista. It's going to be a great opportunity to learn how we can conserve our water on a very personal level as well as a group level. So again, the Weiss Water Use Expo, Tuesday, July 21st, at the Mar Vista Park Auditorium at 7 in the evening. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Any other announcements, members? If not, would you please rise for adjourning motions? Any adjourning motions? Mr. LaBonge. All right. I'm sorry, Mr. Koretz has one, Mr. LaBonge? Do you have one, Mr. Koretz?
Yes, I do. In memory of Lillian Ullman, who is the beloved aunt of Richard Ullman and Jerry Miller, who died yesterday at the age of 83 following a courageous battle with leukemia. Lillian spent all of her years in Los Angeles living in CD5 around the corner from the famous and popular restaurant El Coyote. And when traffic and parking became unbearable in that area, she organized her neighborhood and kind of hounded then Councilman Xavier Oslavsky until he created one of the first preferential parking districts in the city, which created a trend that continues to this day. She took her involvement very seriously, and those who were foolish enough to ignore her hard-won efforts sometimes found themselves with a stern note on their windshield and a trip home without windshield wiper blades. So she was a delightful breath of fresh air with a warm heart and a keen and curious mind and a great civic involvement, and will be missed by everyone. Thank you.
Was this Jerry Miller, the chief legislative analyst?
I believe that is correct, yes.
Okay, thank you. I think we should have all members on this. Okay, thank you, Mr. Koretz. Mr. Labange.
Thank you. I'd like to ask you adjourn in memory of Sal Altamirano. Sal lived to be 63 years old, taken too young. Sal was a deputy for Peggy Stevenson, for Bob Stevenson, and for other council members in his many-year career with the city of Los Angeles. I worked with him in 1974 and 75 when I was on Mayor Bradley's summer youth program. He was very energetic in going to the people and trying to help them solve their constituent services. Sal Altamirano was a great city employee. God rest his soul.
Would you like all members on that, Mr. Labange?
Please.
Okay, great. Any adjourning motions on this side? Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Madam President. Susan Jane Clemmer passed away July 6, Detective 2, Los Angeles Police Department, 20-year veteran of the police department, began her career in August 1989, last assigned to Gang Narcotics Division, 41 years of age and a resident of Valencia. She will be missed by her family, friends, and colleagues at the police department, survived by her parents, Dwayne and Carolyn Clemmer. May she rest in peace. Susan Jane Clemmer.
Thank you. And I have two quick adjourning motions. The first is for Doris J. Hauser, who was born February 17th, 1927, and she enjoyed a life spanning 82 years, passed away on June 26, 2009. She was very active in several communities in southern Illinois and in Claremont, California, and she was a president of several organizations, including the University of Cal Poly Women's League and the Women's Auxiliary. She ran several Meals on Wheels groups and was very active in the Claremont Congregational Church. She was a dedicated and passionate advocate for women's issues and the underserved, and she was married to Dr. Gene Hauser for 58 years with 3 children, James, Grant, Catherine, and 7 grandchildren. The second one was sent to me by someone you probably all know, Sam Hall Kaplan, who's an architecture critic, a consultant, just a media person, and it was about his mother, who lived an amazing 106 years. She was born in 1903, and her name was Sadie Kaplan. And he sent out an email this weekend, and I asked him if he wanted me to do this, and he said he really would appreciate it. And it was a beautiful picture of his mother a few days, I think, before her final birthday. And he said she was a lifelong Democrat who voted in every election from the age of 18 years onward, a year after women got to vote in 1920. He also said she was the subject of a longevity study, along with 150 or so other selected seniors, conducted by the Institute for Aging Research at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine in New York City. And she is survived by all 5 of her children, 14 grandchildren, and 12 great-grandchildren, the mother of Sam Hall Kaplan. And if you are all members, I think, should sign on to that. 106 years old. That's amazing. Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll? Meeting is adjourned.
Nice job. Very nice job.
Thank you.